Hello, my name is Wolfgang Carstens, and welcome to Poets Underground, a poetry show that celebrates and showcases the best and the brightest authors currently working the marrow of contemporary poetry. My guest tonight is Mr. Rob Plath, joining us live via satellite from New York. Mr. Plath is the author of numerous books and chapbooks of poetry, most notably Tapping Ashes in the Dark, A Belly Full of Anarchy, There's a Fist Dunked in Blood Beating in My Chest, and most recently, Death is Dead. Mr. Plath, how the hell are you? You're looking great, my friend.
Oh, thanks, Wolf. It's good to talk.
Absolutely. This show's been a long time coming. You know, I want to jump right in here. When I read your Tapping Ashes in the Dark, put out through Lummox Press, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was one of those life-changing moments for me. It changed how I view books. It showed me everything that a chapbook could and should be. It changed the way I write books, and it changed what literature means for me. And I just wanted to ask you, what, in your opinion, makes that book work so well?
Well, I remember it was weird how I wrote it. I was really sick at the time. I think I had some kind of bronchitis that wouldn't go away for about 8 months. And a lot of those poems were typed late at night while I was sitting on the couch and leaning on the my laptop was on the coffee table, which is weird because I was kind of bent over. But that's how I did it. I don't think I had a desk back then, and I'd just be spitting up this phlegm and typing these poems on the coffee table. It was a coffee table book.
Well, I remember when I read the book, I actually contacted you, and I thought you were a dying man. Like, I had given you weeks
to live. Yeah, I remember when you told me.
I was like, you know,
asked myself my pulse because I thought I didn't know. I was so out of it that I might not have known that I was in that condition.
Right. I read in your book, Death is Dead, and you talked about, you know, death being your one true love. And whenever you feel happy or you feel momentarily at peace or that everything's going to be okay, you feel that you're being dishonest with your true love, with death. And so I wanted to ask you, and let's just state it outright, what are your feelings about death? Like, what does death represent in your work, in your life, as a motivating force behind Rob Plath?
It represents two things. Like you said, it's a motivator, and it also is something that you just wish that wasn't there following you. So there's two sides to it. It's something good and it's something bad. So sometimes you look at it as something that's chasing you, and then sometimes you look at it like a teacher, and it depends on the day, I guess, or the night. You know, it could be either thing, and I try to look at it as a teacher more, because or else I'll go crazy with it hounding me, but. Right. I can't say it's bad, and completely. Even though in a lot of poems I, curse it and yell at it and wish it wasn't there. But at the same time, it's a teacher, or the teacher.
Right. You know, in your book, A Belly Full of Anarchy, you talk about always telling the truth. You talk about.
Well, to quote Tony Montana from Scarface, I tell the truth even when I lie.
So, and Tapping Ashes in the Dark, that is a book of truth. If ever there's a book of truth, that's a book of truth. And I wanted to ask you, what is the importance of telling the truth in poetry? You once said that you always tell the truth in poetry. So is that the basic for great?
Maybe that's the safest place to tell the truth without getting attacked or arrested or punched or thrown out.
Even in your book, Acts for the Frozen Sea, you present this series of challenges for the reader to confront their deepest, darkest fears, their regrets, write a hate letter, you have 8 hours to live, and it's really all about telling the truth. It's about getting so close to exposing yourself and that comfort zone. And is that like one of the fundamental elements in a Rob Plath poem?
Yeah, I think so. Those assignments came out of my own writing. Like almost every exercise in there is stems from something I wrote. So
I wanted to ask you about this. You talk about the fruitlessness of ambition, and how life is essentially meaningless. And so I wanted to ask you, why write at all? Why bother pick up the pen? Why bother pick up the camera? Why bother pick up the paintbrush? Why pick up anything at all? Why not just kick back under cloudland in a hammock and chill?
I guess that gets boring, but I think, who was that? F. Scott Fitzgerald on his deathbed said that either everything matters or nothing matters, and then he decided everything matters. So I guess you could feel that nothing matters, but underneath, I think everything matters.
Right.
If that makes sense. Sometimes I feel like I'm giving answers to whole other questions, but
fair enough, man. So let me say, so would it be wrong, those people who classify Rob Plath as a nihilist? Maybe Rob Plath isn't a nihilist.
Don't let the glasses fool you.
So I mean, you would say that everything matters. And it's a great conundrum experience in your work, right? Like, I mean.
Yeah, that's what I always feel. I mean, I wouldn't write if I really felt that way. I even if it's just throwing M80s at the Grim Reaper, it's that matters. You could go in a cave somewhere and hide from things, from pain and death chasing you, but I don't know. I'm not complete. Sometimes I talk about that nothing matters, or ambition is for the vertical, serious people, and you should be horizontal. But at the same time, I'm not a defeatist, and I'm at war with death, and in a positive way.
Right. And that's definitely the feeling one gets in Death is Dead, your newest book, for sure. So, I wanted to ask you, and I asked this of all my guests, is there a seminal Rob Plath poem, something that encapsulates your work? And if so, would you mind reading it for us?
Yeah. There's a lot here. I didn't just put the books on the table. I brought these stacks of magazines too. I wanted to read some stuff that isn't in books, but this one's in a book though. The seminal one, I would say, is Poor. I might have to take these off, or maybe I should just go like that. I'll take them off. All right, I'll read the one I guess I would say if one represents me, this one does. This one's called Poor. Poor wasn't calloused hands or hand-washed clothes. Poor was words sticking to our tongues like hairs. Poor wasn't tightening our belts. Poor was a strap. Poor wasn't no monkey money, no donut money, no gasoline money. Poor was hugs harder to scrape up than extra bucks. Poor wasn't late rent, no rent collectors. Poor was separate meals, every man for himself. Poor was cunt, whore, motherfucker, bastard, cocksucker. Poor wasn't a broken palm, poor was no hand at all. Poor was a fist. Poor wasn't going without a radio. Poor wasn't holes in shoes, holes in sheetrock. Poor wasn't leaky shingles, bad tires. Poor was no song, no dance. Poor was no laughter. Poor wasn't lost job, minimum wage, bills up the ass. Poor wasn't downsizing, factory closing, 2 part-time jobs, high blood pressure, heart attack. Poor was no love making through the walls. Poor wasn't food stamps. Poor was no pride. Poor wasn't nervous breakdown, shock treatment, locked up in Valhalla. Poor wasn't loaves of bread from the church. Poor was flipping the dinner table over. Poor was kicked out of the house. Poor wasn't no inspection sticker, no brakes, no spare. Poor wasn't no vacations. Poor was no words for a year. Poor was never coming up from Virginia. Poor was never coming down from Westchester. Poor was alone in one's own skin. Poor was coke, alcohol, horses, failure, fuck up, bum, no good. Poor was complete silence, a face hiding in newspapers and racetracks. Poor was crying in a dark room. Poor was a knife at a throat, a fight at a funeral. Poor was knuckles through windows and doors. Poor was another woman, a hard smack on a cheek already bloody. Poor was not one kiss ever. Poor was only touching shoulders, coming and going. Poor was never reading your son's poems.
Wow.
So that would be the one. I wrote that when I was 25.
Wow.
It was 20 years anniversary.
Before you get into your reading, I wanted to ask you, and going back to all we've talked about tonight about death and coming to terms with death, being at peace, the songs inside your soul, cats figure prominently in your work. So I wanted to ask you, you talk about these cats are like Buddha-like creatures who have all the answers. And I just wanted to ask you, and Daisy, we met her tonight, what great lesson do these cats have to teach, and what do they represent in your work?
Just wisdom, something that I look for in Buddhism and other writers that write about. Oh, right, she's showing.
There you go. She knows.
She's gonna knock the over the. It's just the wisdom that I'll never have. Like I said in one of the poems, I was complaining about her. I was complaining about, my own demons, and she just was sitting there, calmly sitting there, and I said something like, she knows how to sit through it all, something that people spend their lives trying to learn or they train themselves to try to sit through their pain or with their pain.
Right.
And she represents simplicity, and there's a joy that is there too that a lot of humans can't get in touch with. So there's a lot of things, I guess.
Right. It's interesting because yesterday I was reading through all your books, and I was thinking to myself, you quit drinking, you quit cigarettes, you quit everything else. You've stripped yourself down to this chai tea existence, and yet the one thing that probably pulls you through are the cats, right? Like, I mean, you can lose everything, but take away the guy's cats and look out, man, you know?
Yeah, but I think it was, I'm probably getting it wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Charles Baudelaire said that a cat is the soul. If a house has a soul to it, it's a cat.
Nice.
But I'm not sure if he said that, though. But whoever said it, I like that quote.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Mr. Rob Plath. And now, Mr. Plath, if you would lay down some bombs for us, man. You have 15 minutes. The stage is yours.
So non-stop? It's non-stop?
Well, you know, I mean, we can talk in between if it happens, but yeah, okay. Non-stop, like a Gatling gun, man.
Okay, I'm gonna grab some ones some people might not have heard. This one's called Small Change. I recorded over a J.S. Bach cassette tape the other day so I can listen to something else in my beat up 92 Corolla. Now, instead of the lofty Brandenburg concertos rising from the staticky speakers, it's Tom Waits' wounded voice. And as I pump 2 quarters into the air machine at the Hess gas station in the pouring rain, my old army jacket soaked and fill my leaky left tire, I hear the Calliope and his cyclopean voice rumbling within the car, and I feel a little better.
Nice. That's
one that I haven't read, I think, ever at a reading or on the radio. And here's another one. It's called Wrong Fucking Verb. A book should never be written. The correct verb is committed, like suicide, like murder, etc.
Nice.
So that's another one.
Nice.
And then this one, I wanted to read this one. I don't think I read this one ever either. It's called Rocking the Blade. I rocked the blade through the onion. The halves fell apart, each with a thick brown ring. Near the center, 2 zeros of rot. The odor hit me hard. I finally put a finger on what my father's sweat smelled like. The oval onion, a time machine, returning me to the hot, unair-conditioned car. My father's decaying onion sweat. The dirty blonde stains of his big pits. Him calling a woman driver a cunt for driving too slow. The acceleration of the car as we illegally passed her. The old grill devouring the double yellow line. His thick middle finger stabbing the stagnant air. So,
nice. And
then there's another one here. This is one of the ones this one I like this one a lot because it's about other writers and how other writers and artists inspire people to continue doing their art. It's a dedication to everybody that inspired me. It's called Jump Starting the ABCs. Every time I write, behind my back I hear Hemingway clicking the safety off. Every time I write, behind my back I hear Kerouac glugging suicidal gulps in the rocking chair. Every time I write, behind my back, I hear the stalks of corn rustling. Just before Van Gogh shoves the muzzle of the gun into his gut. Every time I write, behind my back, I hear Morrison's bath water slap against the Parisian tub just after he loosens the tourniquet. Every time I write, behind my back, I hear giants and non-giants fumbling for the powder, thumbing the plunger, screwing the cap away from the threads, cocking the hammer. And then I rub my sweaty palms together like greased defibrillator paddles and put them to the keyboard until I jumpstart the ABCs and the flat line grows peaks again.
Awesome.
That's another one.
Love it.
Hope I could have this one I didn't mark. I thought I had it marked. Oh, there it is. This one I never read either. This was one called Spiral Notebook Eternity. Billie Holiday is singing on the radio as I smoke the other half of yesterday morning cigar and sip black coffee. It's Saturday afternoon. It's late March. It rained earlier. A few birds are out as I sit on my third-hand couch, sober, neck bent over Spiral Notebook. I mistakenly write 08 in the top right corner instead of 04. Significant. Anniversary of my early death at 38. Freud said that there are no accidents. I don't care. I feel good today, ageless. Outside a car passes, rubber tires turning around on damp pavement. A peeling sound, almost as beautiful as this pencil across clean white pages. I'm trying to switch it up a little bit so I don't read all the same things. Okay, I'm going to go to this one now. This one's called Clouds of Mercy. I sat all day with the black beetles of madness climbing what's left of my backbone. I sat all day with my frayed Swiss cheese self-esteem, fingering the holes. I sat all day with my suicide snickering from my cuticles and whispering, "Grab the big kitchen knife, boy." I sat all day with my demons wagging their forked tongues like terrible drooling pendulums, hissing, "Drink up, motherfucker." I sat all day with my lobotomized boyhood, bemoaning the unspliceable wires. I sat all day with the skeleton of God running a cup back and forth over the rib cage, begging for just one of my unanswered prayers, until I went to the window and gazed at the immaculate clouds, backlit by the spring moon, bright bouquets of benevolence.
Nice. Like a machine gun.
What?
Like a machine gun.
This one's from an old book called, it has a drawing I did of I don't know if you could see it, it's called An IV Bag Full of Bile.
Nice.
There was a bunch of cynicisms, I called them, that I numbered, and this is numbered cynicism number 23. Tumors, sores that don't heal, blood vessels popping in the brain. It is obvious God mistreats us and then takes us in his arms in heaven. And then God must be schizophrenic. If God isn't schizophrenic, we better pray that we just get planted in the ground or burned into ash after our painful life. Because if God isn't schizophrenic, then those hands that mistreated us down here are going to do a lot worse in so-called heaven.
Wow.
Okay. I'm just skipping around. This one is called, some of these are new, newer, that aren't in any books. The Clouds of Mercy is one, and this one, Ashes and Giants. Somebody will burn my body one day, but what about my goddamn emptiness? 1,000 times larger than my shape. That giant, untouchable motherfucker will hoot at the puny flames and haunt this bastard planet forever.
Wow.
This one's new too. This is called Orange Magic. Ma, you're beneath the grass 659 days, televisionless, kitchenless, Juneless, Sundayless, sneakerless, rose beadless, rocking chairless, old gameless, but at least no more hemorrhaging from the nose, eye socket, or chemo, guinea pig deafness, or 70-pound starving gray stick lady. Mom, my friend the monk, the one who chanted at your bedside, your second to last day here, laments that the world is broken, but chuckles afterwards, his wide grin saying all is well. It snowed the first day of spring, Ma. I imagine you'd smile and say we all needed one more round of snow angels. This year, I'll grow bunches of marigolds, your favorite, my cracked stone steps lined with clay pots filled with generous orange magic, golden bouquets for the ghostly broken world. That one was hard to read.
Wow.
That was like a tongue twister a little bit. Okay.
Excellent.
This is another new one, Beneath My Boyhood Roof. When I was a teenager, I didn't have to play my rock albums backwards to catch satanic messages. I'd only have to turn the volume down to hear the devil crystal clear, cursing his wife and children through hole punch walls. I'll go back to I marked it. Oh, yeah, I have it. This one's a little longer, but I'm going to read it anyway. It's called Do You Remember Ithaca? Do you remember Ithaca? Driving up there in October, listening to Iron and Wine and wearing those hats we brought just for the trip, turning the peaks a little to the left and leaning our heads together to get a picture of ourselves in the car as the leaves fell on the hood. Do you remember Ithaca and the tall 3-story old red hotel on Lake Cayuga and the way it trembled when big rigs blew by at night, but we were new then and weren't afraid of crumbling? Do you remember Ithaca and how soon as I shut the hotel door you dropped your bag and not even unbuttoning your army jacket and still wearing your hat, sprawled out, smiling, winking on our bed? Do you remember Ithaca and drinking in the wooden bar downstairs and the kind bartender telling us that the place was once a counterfeiter's hideaway and how we sat close on the bar stools and were authentically in love? Do you remember Ithaca and how I bought that clock radio that played CDs so we have music in our room, and how we sipped beers, you on the bed and me in the old chair, listening to the Strokes, our bodies buzzed and horny for our newness? Do you remember Ithaca and that little bookshop where we browsed for hours? coffee in our hands, and you suggested I slip a copy of my own slim book of poetry among the others, and how we left excited, each with new books that we quietly read in bed together later that afternoon before going down to the bar. Do you remember Ithaca and the way you posed, head thrown back against the bathroom door with your narrow bedroom eyes, your black French page girl's haircut, and the diamond in your nose glistening in the dim light? Do you remember Ithaca and the little shop where we found the Kill Your Television bumper sticker, and I found a poster of the cover of the Stones' Exile on Main Street for Paul for Christmas, and we walked down the cobblestone streets for hours peeking in every boutique? Do you remember Ithaca and how you waited outside the liquor store that looked like a quaint old house while I ran in to get Bolico wine and we ordered room service, and the chef brought up baked brie and 2 crock pots of French onion soup, and we toasted each other and hungrily ate everything, leaving the empty platter outside the door, and slipped the Do Not Disturb sign on the knob? Do you remember Ithaca and how we drank the 3 bottles of wine and screwed so hard that you cut your scalp on the heavy wrought iron bedposts? And we laughed in the morning at breakfast among the other guests, wondering if we were too loud the night before. Do you remember Ithaca and standing there on the high ledge, watching the water from the rocks drop 150 feet into the river, and how the foam and spray beneath seemed to only accentuate our freedom and our wildness? Do you remember Ithaca and running down those crooked old stairs and out into the cold night to sit in the car and have cigarettes, excitedly talking about our future with the windows cracked and the smoke rising into the dark blue starry sky? Do you remember Ithaca and driving onto the campus of Cornell University and walking in the rain on the thin bridge that suicidal students leapt from each year, and our own bodies only desperate to collide into one another in the strange bed back on Lake Cayuga? Do you remember Ithaca and eating those great big burgers at the Lost Dog Cafe on that gloomy Sunday afternoon just before we left, and never feeling more at home in one another's presence? Do you ever think of that weekend in Ithaca? Do some places, no matter how far vanished, etch themselves into a groove in your brain like wild water into rock?
Nice. Excellent job, my friend. That was killer.
That was a hard one to read.
No, that was awesome. Mr. Plath's newest book, Death is Dead, is available on Amazon. His ultimate newest book, Axe for the Frozen Sea, you want to break on through to the other side, it's available on Amazon as well. And Mr. Plath, thank you so much, my friend. And that has been another issue of Poets Underground. Thank you.
You're welcome, Wolf. I'll see you. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Take care.